Hey guys, Phil here at Woods Tree Farm, and tonight kind of rushing to get all this done because we're burning daylight. It's evening. We don't come out here in the weekday evenings that much, but we things are getting dry and we don't want to fall behind with watering. We don't want to start losing trees. Well, we kind of already are, and we want to keep as many trees alive as we can, obviously. So in my other arm, I've got my big tub, I've got some hose on my shoulder, and I've got in the truck a whole bunch of buckets and containers that we're going to use to do a little makeshift drip irrigation here on the trees. So I'm going to get one of our hoses, filling that tub up, and then we can use that tub to fill the buckets up, and then we can put buckets on every tree and punch a little hole in the bottom of the bucket and let it slowly drip out on the tree. So I saw this idea on Christmas Tree Growers Facebook group, and I thought it was a great idea. So I actually hit up in the neighborhood we live in the community we live in, they have like a giveaway group. So I went on there and said, hey, who has extra buckets or jugs or kitty litter containers or milk jugs or whatever? And we got a whole bunch of free jugs from those people. So gonna basically go here, spread as many of these jugs out as we can this evening, come back tomorrow, fill them back up, put them on another set of trees. So I think I've got enough to do about 75 trees here tonight. Get them a good deep water so that we don't have to do this every few days. So here's what I got from my neighbors. I got some laundry detergent containers, some vinegar containers, some milk jugs. Obviously those are all right around a gallon, and the trees probably should get more than that, but I was just looking for as many vessels as I could get. I also picked up from the dollar store a whole bunch of 9-quart buckets. So those should be pretty good. These are just cheapo buckets. I don't expect them to hold up, but we're gonna drill a hole in the bottom of those anyway, which is what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna find a relatively small drill bit. What's that? 5/64. That's probably small enough. And let's do a little something like this. I'm gonna put like 2 holes in each container. And I'll go run them out there. Alright, so let's go ahead and run a bunch of these out there, and then we'll come back and do some more. The kids and Stacy are actually here. They're eating some dinner right now, so once they get done they'll come and help me out. Alright, so this next batch I'm actually going to do with a slightly smaller drill bit, because as fast as the water was coming out, it'll probably only take about a half hour to empty that bucket. So I'm going to go down 2 sizes, which puts me at, the set I got here, that's 1/16. That's a pretty small bit. I'm still going to do two holes in each one. So this is one of those things where I feel like, you know, what we've been doing with the buckets has been okay, but we know that a lot of what we're doing is running off or evaporating off. It's hot out here. That one's done. So this might be one of those tricks that'll help us work smarter, not harder, if we can get more water to penetrate more deeply where it's really going to benefit the tree. So I'm thankful for the different Facebook groups that are out there for Christmas tree growers. There's 3 of them that I know of: Real Christmas Tree Growers, Great Lakes Christmas Tree Growers, and the Southern Christmas Tree Growers. You know, Southern one's the smallest, and those guys are the ones who obviously have to deal with more heat and whatnot. And then the other groups are considerably bigger, and you have a much broader range of experiences and climates and whatnot in those other groups. So the people who weigh in with feedback and experiences and tips and tricks and whatnot are coming from all over the place. So it's really interesting to hear all their different experience. So the water jug trick, or the water bucket trick, was something I discovered on there, and like I said, I'm thankful that I found it on that group, and like I said, I'm hoping it really helps us work smarter, not harder out here. It was 95 degrees today. It's like 6:30 right now. Still got to be in the 90s. All right, well, this is working pretty good. You can see my shirt is drenched. I'm soaked. But the sun is still above the treetops. We got a bunch of daylight left. And what we're finding is that these buckets are emptying out in about 15 minutes. So that's probably faster than we wanted them to empty. We wanted them to drain more slowly into the ground so they can penetrate more deeply. And what we're seeing is that it's leaving a wet ring probably about 18 to 24 inches in diameter, which means it might not be soaking in as much as we want it to. But it's got to be better than what we were doing, which is just splashing a half bucket of water on it and moving on to the next one. So we're going to keep up with this, and basically what we're doing now, we're in our second rotation. So a lot of these jugs and buckets are empty. We're going back and filling them up and putting them on a different tree. And you know, the proof will be survival. I'm really curious to see how well these trees do. And the other part is, if we come back in here, you know, 3, 4, 5 days later and look at some of these trees, maybe come back with a shovel and dig in and see how moist the soil is underneath. That's what we really need, is that the soil down a good 3, 4 inches, maybe 4 or 5 inches, to be nice and moist. And what we have now, at least the top several inches, are completely dry and completely crusty. So it's going to take a lot of moisture to really, you know, get all that top stuff moist and then to penetrate down even more deeply, and we know that. So hopefully this works for us. Hopefully it certainly works better than, you know, just dumping the buckets or coming along with the hose like we were doing. We'll follow up in the future with another video on you know, checking in on how well the water's penetrated and checking in on survival of these trees. As we get into July and into August here in Virginia, it gets hot, and these firs in particular on these couple rows are the ones that we know we're going to have the most mortality with. So that concerns us, and we're trying to do everything we can to prevent as much of that as possible by watering and by mulching and by keeping the weeds down and all that kind of stuff. So that's all for today, guys. If you got any questions about this watering technique, obviously leave those below. I'll answer what I can. This is my first time. And reminder, I mentioned this before, but if you haven't already and you're interested in this Christmas tree stuff, there's those couple Facebook groups. I'll put a link in the description to each of those groups that you can check out and get connected with other growers who have, frankly, a lot more experience than I do. So that's all for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.